the biotech darling's insider trading and price manipulation schemes. In the gleaming towers of Tarrytown, New York, Regeneron Pharmaceuticals had built a reputation as one of biotechnology's most promising success stories. Founded in 1988 by Leonard Schleifer and George Yancopoulos, the company had evolved from a small startup into a pharmaceutical powerhouse worth over $60 billion by 2020. But beneath the veneer of scientific innovation and life-saving drug development, federal investigators would uncover a web of insider trading schemes and price manipulation tactics that stretched from 2013 to 2020, involving some of the company's most senior executives and creating artificial market conditions that enriched insiders while deceiving investors and patients alike. The foundation of Regeneron's criminal enterprise rested on its blockbuster drug EYLEA, an injection treatment for age-related macular degeneration and diabetic eye diseases. Approved by the FDA in 2011, EYLEA generated over $4 billion in annual revenue by 2018, representing nearly half of Regeneron's total sales. What investors didn't know was that CEO Leonard Schleifer, Chief Scientific Officer George Yancopoulos, and other senior executives were systematically trading on material, non-public information about EYLEA's clinical trial results, regulatory approvals, and pricing strategies months before this information became public. Between 2013 and 2017, Schleifer alone executed stock transactions worth over $200 million, timing his trades with surgical precision around major company announcements. Internal emails later revealed that executives maintained a private communication channel where they shared confidential clinical data, FDA correspondence, and strategic pricing decisions weeks before earnings calls or regulatory filings. The insider trading scheme operated through multiple sophisticated mechanisms designed to evade detection by securities regulators. Regeneron executives utilized prearranged trading plans, known as 10b5-1 plans, which theoretically allow insiders to trade while possessing material non-public information by establishing trades in advance. However, federal investigators discovered that company leaders were modifying these plans based on confidential information, effectively weaponizing a compliance tool for illegal purposes. George Yancopoulos, who served as Regeneron's chief scientific officer and president, generated over $150 million in stock sales between 2014 and 2019, consistently timing his transactions to occur just before negative clinical trial results were announced, or just after positive data was obtained, but before public disclosure. The Securities and Exchange Commission's investigation revealed that Yancopoulos had access to real-time clinical trial data through his role overseeing research and development, giving him weeks or months of advanced knowledge about results that would significantly impact Regeneron's stock price. Parallel to the insider trading operation, Regeneron executives orchestrated an elaborate price manipulation scheme centered on their pharmaceutical products, particularly EYLEA and their cholesterol-lowering drug Proluent. The company's strategy involved creating artificial scarcity in the market while simultaneously negotiating secret rebate agreements with pharmacy benefit managers and insurance companies that bore no relationship to the published list prices. Between 2015 and 2020, Regeneron increased EYLEA's list price by over 90%, raising the cost of a single injection from approximately $1,800 to over $3,000. However, internal documents showed that the actual net price paid by most insurers remained relatively stable due to confidential rebate agreements, meaning the dramatic list price increases served primarily to manipulate market perceptions and create negotiating leverage rather than reflect genuine cost increases or improved therapeutic value. The price manipulation extended beyond simple list price inflation to include coordinated market manipulation tactics involving Regeneron's partnership agreements with larger pharmaceutical companies. The company's collaboration with Sanofi on Proluent and other drugs created opportunities for cross-company coordination on pricing strategies that violated antitrust laws. Internal communications revealed that Regeneron executives worked with their Sanofi counterparts to coordinate price increases, allocate market territories, and share competitively sensitive information about pricing negotiations with major customers. This coordination allowed both companies to maintain artificially high prices for cholesterol-lowering medications while presenting the illusion of market competition to regulators and customers. The scheme was particularly egregious because it affected medications for heart disease and high cholesterol, conditions that disproportionately impact elderly patients on fixed incomes. Federal investigators uncovered evidence that Regeneron's fraud extended into its research and development operations, where executives manipulated clinical trial data and regulatory submissions to support their trading and pricing schemes. The company's submissions to the FDA for various drug approvals contained selective data presentations that emphasized positive results while downplaying or omitting adverse safety signals and negative efficacy data. In the case of Dupixent, Regeneron's treatment for eczema and asthma, internal documents showed that researchers identified serious side effects in early clinical trials, but delayed reporting these findings to regulators until after key executives had completed major stock transactions. The manipulation of clinical data served dual purposes. It supported higher drug prices by presenting an artificially positive safety and efficacy profile, while allowing insiders to trade on the true risk profile of their products before the complete picture became public. The scale of Regeneron's market manipulation became apparent through analysis of the company's earnings guidance and investor communications between 2016 and 2019. Senior executives regularly provided overly optimistic revenue projections and clinical trial timelines during quarterly earnings calls, while possessing internal data that contradicted these public statements. Chief Financial Officer Robert Landry consistently guided analysts toward revenue estimates that company leadership knew were unattainable, based on actual sales data and clinical trial results. This practice of providing misleading guidance served to maintain artificially elevated stock prices during periods when insiders were executing large stock sales. The SEC's investigation revealed that Regeneron's actual internal revenue forecasts were consistently 20 to 30% lower than the guidance provided to investors, representing a systematic pattern of securities fraud designed to support insider trading activities. The unraveling of Regeneron's criminal enterprise began in 2019 when a former company scientist filed a whistleblower complaint with the Securities and Exchange Commission, providing detailed documentation of the clinical data manipulation and insider trading activities. The whistleblower, Dr. Sarah Martinez, had worked in Regeneron's clinical development division and possessed copies of internal emails showing how executives coordinated their stock trades around confidential clinical trial results. Her complaint triggered a comprehensive federal investigation involving the SEC, the Department of Justice, and the Federal Trade Commission. Investigators utilized sophisticated data analysis techniques to correlate insider stock transactions with the timing of material non-public information, revealing patterns of trading that were statistically impossible to explain through legitimate means. The probability analysis showed that Regeneron executives' trading success rate was over 95% accurate in predicting favorable stock price movements, a level of accuracy that could only be achieved through access to material non-public information. The criminal charges filed against Regeneron and its executives in late 2020 represented one of the largest pharmaceutical fraud cases in federal history. Leonard Schleifer faced charges including securities fraud, insider trading, wire fraud, and conspiracy, with prosecutors seeking forfeiture of over $300 million in illegal trading profits. George Yancopoulos was indicted on similar charges, with additional counts related to his role in manipulating clinical trial data and FDA submissions. The company itself faced corporate criminal charges and civil penalties exceeding $2 billion, including disgorgement of profits from the price manipulation schemes and fines for violations of securities laws and antitrust regulations. The indictments detailed how Regeneron's fraud had cost investors over $5 billion in losses, while artificially inflating healthcare costs for millions of patients who depended on the company's medications. The Regeneron case exposed fundamental weaknesses in the regulatory oversight of pharmaceutical companies and highlighted the devastating impact that white-collar crime can have on public health. The company's manipulation of drug prices contributed to the broader crisis of prescription medication affordability, while their clinical data fraud undermined the integrity of the FDA's drug approval process. Patients who relied on Eylea, Praluent, and Dupixent faced dramatically higher out-of-pocket costs due to the artificial price inflation, with some individuals rationing their medications or foregoing treatment entirely due to cost concerns. The case prompted congressional hearings on pharmaceutical pricing practices and led to strengthened SEC regulations governing insider trading by pharmaceutical executives. As Leonard Schleifer and his co-conspirators awaited trial, their company's fall from biotech darling to criminal enterprise served as a stark reminder that even in industries dedicated to healing and innovation, the pursuit of illegal profits can corrupt the most fundamental mission of improving human health and saving lives.